country talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body. If he woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how it started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. He's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepping to the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. One more time. I want to say it real slow. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Pick it up. God has smiled on me. I feel it. Then I went on by backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell him what you told me, Brother Brown. I said, now God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Yeah. God has. I want to scream, y'all. I want to scream, y'all. God has smiled on me.
Leader, the Attorney General of Black America, Ben Crump.
Commitment to justice.
And I'm probably going to need your help on this legal fight. You know, they shorted the historically black colleges and universities to the tune of about $13 billion, and Tennessee State was the one they shorted the most.
Absolutely. Well, let me know. I'm on the next plane as soon as you holler. You know, when Ben Crump called, I don't even question it. I just head to the airport and get the details on the way.
Live from the National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. Keeping it real. And now, America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Yeah. Thursday, December the 4th. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you. Morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, where talk empowers and becomes action. Well, I'm coming to you. I'm on the road headed to the airport where I will be giving a eulogy tomorrow for my dear friend Dwight McKee, one of our great activists, social scientists, and I'm going in early to meet with the family and some other local meetings and do this eulogy early tomorrow morning. Back on tomorrow. I've got my daughter, Dominique Sharpton, sitting in for me. She wanted to come to the funeral, but Ashley's gone. But she said, I'll hold down the radio show. Let me say a lot to talk about with Dominique, and I believe the attorney, Jennifer Jones, Austin, will be joining at some point with our policy day. When we saw it this morning, they arrested a person 5 years after the planned pipe bombs in front of the DNC, RNC, and other locations, not knowing whether this was a planned attack from a MAGA disinfected guy or anarchist. They've not given the motive. But we also got disturbing news that now another grand jury in Virginia is looking to possibly re-indict Tish James, the New York State Attorney General. We do know they're making a presentation in front of that grand jury. That does not mean that the grand jury will indict, but in most cases, 95% of the cases, when prosecutors bring a case in front of a grand jury, they usually get an indictment. Comey and former FBI Director Comey and Tish James's indictments were thrown out because judges said that the prosecutor that had done that that had guided those indictments in Virginia had been put there illegally. She should not have been the prosecutor. So now they've given it to another prosecutor in another district. Comey cannot be reindicted, they say, because what they're indicting him for, the crime they allege, the statute of limitations has run out. That is not the case with James. Certainly, we can talk about that and get the breakdown of that from Jennifer Jones Austin. We also see that they're having Senate hearings around the whole case of the second boat. The second attack, two attacks on a boat that killed everybody, and whether there was an order to shoot to kill everybody. Whether there's an order or not, to just arbitrarily just shoot and kill or bomb boats that you claim have drug trafficking, and no evidence presented, no bill of particulars, no due process, is an absolute outrage. And I keep telling you, I'm waiting to see they put these drugs allegedly in bags so that if something sinks, they last. Well, why haven't we seen any of these bags of drugs floating after the bombs? At least some of the debris, something. I don't know what's going on there, but it doesn't smell right to me. And when we hear now senators saying, I was on Morning Joe this morning, and they're saying that the fentanyl that is being brought into this country is not being brought in from there. And at the same time, the president, Donald Trump, he decides to give a pardon to the former head of state Hernandez in Honduras, who was convicted of allowing tons of drugs to come into the United States. So at one hand, you're killing people that you claim to be drug traffickers from Venezuela while you pardon a guy convicted by a United States federal court of bringing drugs into the United States. Inconsistent seems to be a too light a word. We have that. We also see that they are continuing the debate around vaccines. So much is going on, and so much this Trump administration is not giving us a day off. But we got to fight, and you that didn't vote, put them in. So we're going to have to fight every step of the way, and we are determined to do that. So, Dominique, you ready?
I'm ready.
I don't hear Dominique.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. I hear you now.
All right. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, well, I'm throwing it over to you, and talk to you later. I don't know if I land before you go off today, but I'll talk to you later.
Yes, sir. And safe travels to you as always. Good afternoon to all of you that are listening, especially those also watching us via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Good afternoon to the message board. I see that y'all are already chiming in, and we got a lot to talk about, as Rev said, and a lot to, of course, stay in the action and stay involved in. Many of you know, as Rev was talking about in terms of this pipe bomb arrest and why, this arrest is so significant as we continue to look through the perils of this situation. And, Rev is really, really a great orator because he could just lay it out for us plain and simple. But we also need to, understand that, for more than 3 years, right, these pipe bombs have been planted, near the RNC and the DNC headquarters, and have really been one of the biggest unresolved mysteries, Rev, that was tied to the January 6th atmosphere. And so there's parallels as we look through the lines, as my grandmother said, stepping through the cracks, that these weren't just symbolic, devices. They were real explosive devices that were left outside of the nerve centers of both of these political parties, right? And on the very same day, as we have heard and know, the very same day that, of course, Congress was scheduled to certify the election. So got a lot to talk about, and certainly as we are looking closer to this arrest and as things continue to play out in terms of this incident, it does close one chapter, but it opens another, and the nation, we really want to know really what the motive is, as Rev was talking about. And so there's so many questions to still answer. And even after the arrest, how law enforcement has not publicly confirmed, right, whether the suspect acted alone, as Rev said, or was it a part of a coordinated effort. And these are answers we want to know. The bombs were placed the night before January 6th. That suggests planning is not spontaneous. The location of the bombings, the DNC bomb, which was discovered, of course, while former Vice President Kamala Harris was inside the building herself. That raises the stakes even higher. And then some experts also believe, the bombs were meant to pull police resources away from the Capitol as the riot was forming. So there's a lot to talk about here. And we've got to not only be informed and strategic in our analysis and conversation. And for those of you who want to join in the conversation, of course, you can join us and call in and share your thoughts on this and many of the topics that we're talking about today. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. I hear that music. We're going to take a break. Got a lot to talk about. I'm sitting in the hot seat for the Rev, taking your calls, taking your messages, taking your comments. 1-877-532-5797. Or you can join us on the message board. It's lit already, and we're in the action. But we'll be right back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York, over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks, it's about giving, it's about gratitude, it's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Let's go.
Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We have to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
Hey, what's up? They got, they're doing, thank you. They're doing, what's on your mind? Yeah. All right, then, well, you got a birthday this week. I got to talk about that.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday this weekend. And Carrie White's birthday, right?
Corey's birthday is today.
Yeah, and I got to tell Reverend Birthday reading Daniel 5th chapter. I want him to read. And I'm ready. Got a message from today, so we'll be on the air in what, half hour?
About a half hour.
So tune in to the WBLS 107.5 FM and National Impact and www.nationalnetwork.net. All right, I'm ready.
Oh.
Make sure you operate on time or I'll tell them how old you are. Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized. Church, I want to present to you a man of God, a man of his community, the Reverend Howard Hundley. hand together. Yes, I am. Trouble don't last always. I'm so glad. Yes, I am. Trouble don't last always. Can I get a witness? I'm so glad. Trouble don't last always.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
The fact of the matter is, Rosa Parks was not only the mother of the modern civil rights movement, she was the mother of this nation. Why would you say that, Sharpton? Because you called George Washington the father of the nation, but when he became father, we wasn't included in the nation. Women were not included in the nation. The first time we had a parent in this nation is when all of us was included, and Rosa Parks did that on December 1st, 1955. I heard somebody say Jim Crow is who she fought, and Jim Crow is still around. But Jim Crow is old. That's not who I'm mindful of today. The problem is Jim Crow has sons. The one we got to battle is James Crow Jr. Esquire. He's a little more educated. He's a little slicker. He's a little more polished, but the results are the same. He doesn't put you in the back of the bus. He just puts referendums on the ballot to end affirmative action when you can't go to school. He doesn't call you a racial...
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter. I'm sitting in today for the Rev. Taking your calls across the country. You can join in on the conversation today. We got a lot to talk about, lot to do, lot to stay involved in. And you can join in on the conversation today by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. You can also join us on the message board as we are watching also live stream via nationalactionnetwork.net. And we've been talking about a lot. Rev joined us, of course, to open up Keeping It Real. He is traveling today to Chicago, where he will be joining the congregation of those who are mourning the passing of his best friend, one of his best dear friends, a political strategist who has has been in the fight, in the struggle for a very long time, many decades, and probably his oldest friend that has been close to him, Brother Dwight McKee. And so he will be joining the family of Brother McKee in Chicago to lay his best friend to rest. And we understand, like our leaders are humans too. And so we are praying for Rev in the loss of his best friend. He's lost some close ones, as y'all know, as he's been talking about that and sharing that with humanity. And we've got to keep our leaders lifted up in prayer, lifted up and continuing to keep them in our prayers, because we know that they are human just like we are. And it's just been really, it's been hard to watch, to see how, my dad is losing some of his friends. Attorney Michael Hardy, we lost last year. Those of you who know, who've been involved, he's one of the founding members of National Action Network, and he was our general counsel at National Action Network for many years. Dwight McKee, another political, stalwart in the movement. And we're starting to see, our warriors moving on and passing on in the flesh. And it really does go to speak to a lot of what we're doing and dealing with in this moment, of how we have to continue the legacy, continue the fight, continue the struggle, because we've got a lot to do. And we've got to continue to uphold the mission of the movement, and that is to keep fighting, to keep praying, to keep believing that we are what we need to make the change that we want to see happen. And we know it's not a sprint, as Reverend Sharpton always talks about. It's definitely not a sprint. This is not something that we are going to see accomplished overnight. We've been singing "We Shall Overcome" for many years, and we've made progress. We've made strides. But we also know that, as we continue to move forward, we also going to have a lot of things and obstacles that are going to come into our path that we are going to have to fight through. And we're going to have to strategize and mobilize and stick together in order to really push through to get to that victorious feeling that we know that we can have and we can see happen for all of us. So we got a lot to talk about, and certainly want to hear from you. You can join in on the conversation by calling us at 1-877-532-5797. We were talking before the break, of course, about numerous of topics, but of course, this arrest in the pipe bombs case is something that we have been discussing. And before the break, we were going into it a little bit deeper, but for those of you who are just joining us, federal authorities, of course, have made an arrest, and we've been talking about this in connection with the pipe bombs that were planted near the RNC and DNC headquarters on January 6th of 2021. And, this is a major development, but what's raising eyebrows really is what we still don't know. And as Reverend Sharpton was talking about this, we know that authorities haven't said, what the motive was as of yet. We don't know what the motivation was behind, of course, the bombings, but the public still has questions. We still want to talk about this because we still have some things that we want to discuss, and we need to know, why did it take so long for them to identify a suspect, and was this incident really connected to the larger events of January 6th, of what happened on January 6th, and how much of this arrest, right, reveal about the failures, the inadequacies in the intelligence and security of that day. A lot to talk about, and this case has certainly been one of the most mysterious pieces of the January 6th puzzle in general. And even with an arrest that has been made, we're still left with a lot more questions than we have actual answers. So we're talking about that. Rev also mentioned, of course, talking about the situation where in Virginia, a grand jury may seek to re-indict Attorney General of New York, Tish James. And it is unusual. It is disturbing for a myriad of different reasons. It appears, of course, politically motivated, as we feel. Attorney General James has been at the forefront of the high-profile cases involving Donald Trump and the corruption, of course, in New York. And retaliatory investigations are becoming a political weapon, and it is dangerous for our democracy for sure. But the jurisdiction itself is questionable because in Virginia, a Virginia grand jury examining a New York officials' conduct certainly raises legal and constitutional red flags, and we'll talk about that as it's policy day. And Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin will be joining us momentarily throughout the program today. But this also could open the door to many interstate political targeting, and if prosecutors actually begin going after elected officials simply because they pursued lawful cases that some don't necessarily like, right? That undermines the rule of law nationwide. And Attorney General Letitia James has built a career on holding, of course, the powerful accountable. And unsurprisingly, of course, these are some of the very powerful interests that are pushing back. And so this move should definitely concern all of us. It concerns anyone who believes in the independent law enforcement and, of course, the separation of powers. And we want to talk about that. So join us. I know we got some callers holding on that want to chime in on the discussion. I see y'all commenting on the message board as well. 1-877-532-5797. I'm going to try to get to Ozzy before we take a break. Ozzy, if you're there from Cincinnati, listening to us on The Buzz, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. And I heard you speaking about giving our prayer and keeping those who are leaders lifted up, and especially in the time like their father is going through. And I just want to say that I see you as an up-and-coming leader. You may have already reached that plateau, so we must keep you up in our prayer and hold you up as well, because there's no telling where you're going with what it is that you got. And thank God you got it, and he used you to get where you got to go to help us to get where we need to be. I want to say that first.
I'm happy to be here, Ozzy. Thank you so much for saying that.
Yes, ma'am. I want to now speak about not so much the pipe bombs or all of this death that surrounds this president, because this more blood is contributed to being involved with him as president than any president I've known of since Nixon and Vietnam. Everywhere this man goes, everywhere you look in the world, there's blood, sacrifices made to this man. So that's not really where I wanted to go either. Mm-hmm. Where I want to go, give me the chance, is to speak about the Democratic Party reaching out to black men in order to get their vote. And what are they willing to do? I think his name is Ken Martin, the chairman of the DNC.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What are you going to do to get black people? Because there is not an election that the Democratic Party has lost in the last 30 years that had black men. And when they did come out and vote at 80%, we won those elections. But the Democratic Party seems to be more interested in those that they already have, which are the women vote. And now it seems like the main interest of the Democratic Party is white farmers. But when are you going to go for the win? When are you going for the jugular, which is the kryptonite in all of these elections is black men. We saw that with Obama, President Obama. We can win. We will win once black men are involved in the elections in this country. But the Democratic Party pursues everyone but us. And it's time that they speak to the issues of the black man. Because if they take away SNAP, black men are going to suffer the most because we're going to be the ones who have to get that money that is needed to take care of our children together. And many of us don't have the opportunities because of the lack of jobs, the lack of opportunities to be able to come to the table with more than what we're doing now. But so we as black men have to force the Democratic Party to make us their interest.
Well, Ozzy, let me ask you this question. And I'm a millennial, so I like to get in. I got to know, right? I got to be informed. So can you hold on a minute, because I do have a question for you. But I want to know specifically, what issues are you talking about in terms of the Democratic Party not addressing as it relates to black men? I really want to ask you that one question, if you can hold on. I hear the music, though. We got to take a break. Dominique Sharpton, I'm sitting in for the Rev, taking your calls, 1-877-532-5797. It's Policy Day. Let's talk about it. Let's be about it. Let's show up. Let's be involved. We'll be right back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
1, 2, 3, I got the feeling. Hey, baby, I got the feeling. How I got that feeling, yeah. Hey, got that feeling, y'all. Come on. Feeling, baby. Oh, I got the feeling, y'all. Can you put your hands together? I got the feeling. Oh, won't you say, baby, I got that. Come on, sing it out. Baby, come on. Can't hear you. Hey, I got that. Thank you so much. My name is True Osborne. Humbled and honored. All right.
Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They called me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that called me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Donatello, who stood right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be
I'm
like
Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter, sitting in today for the Rev. The Rev is traveling, but I'm sitting in the hot seat taking your calls. You can call in from across the country. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can join us and watch us via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net and share your comments in the chat, as Reverend Sharpton calls them, the message board, and they're live and lit up, as the young people say. But I was speaking with Ozzy from Cincinnati, listening to us on The Buzz before the break-in, and Ozzy was sharing some information, as Ozzy was saying that he feels that there should be more of a targeted approach toward from the Democrats to get black men involved in voting. And Ozzy, I wanted to ask you that specific question because as we are having these meaningful conversations, as we should, it is important for us to lay out the facts, to inform one another, but also, get our point across and express ourselves accordingly, because we all want to move towards, that promised land together, right, brother? So I wanted to ask you, what issues in particular did you feel that the Democratic Party is lacking in terms of their targeted reach towards Black men?
Yes, ma'am. Are you there?
I am.
Okay. I would say to the Democratic Party, the way to approach Black men is to let the Black men know that those that have been had the least amount of assistance shall be given the most amount of assistance from the federal, state, and local private institutions and entities. And if people think, well, I'm speaking about reparations, I say H to the yeah, in whatever form they decide to call it. But we need help. We need financial assistance, and we need a lot of it. That's what I think the Democratic Party should be saying to Black men.
Got you. And thank you for your call. Now, one thing I want to clear up, because I did ask a specific, not Pacific, but specific, ask a specific question. And because I also, again, we got to stay informed. So in 2024, Brother Ozzy, there were many intentional targeted plans to, of course, get people involved in the voting process. It was a major election. And in terms of Black men in particular, the Democratic Party was very intentional about highlighting specifically parts of the administration's Black economic agenda, as you talked about financial empowerment, that directly impacted Black men, as you talked about. And I'm talking about things like expanding access to capital for Black entrepreneurs. They talked about job pathways in tech, job pathways in clean energy. They talked about home ownership assistance that we so desperately need. They talked about removing barriers, of course, for returning citizens. They spoke directly, of course, to Black men, Brother Ozzy, through many of the tours that that we saw them doing, from the barbershop to roundtables. And if you call in on Monday and talk to Brother Antoine Seawright, he was one of those that were out front, really driving a lot of these tours and speaking in the community as a young voice from the Democratic Party, but also having many community conversations that we need, right? Because this is definitely a voting bloc that faces unique economic disparities. And so the policies are broad, Brother Ozzy, but the outreach was indeed targeted. And we've got to do better. Not to say that you were completely off in what you were saying, but let's just include facts that there was specifically a lot of targeted, analysis as it went to, making sure that the Democratic Party presented strong, and also making sure that the demographics that we really wanted to focus on in terms of elevating, voting and voting process in general was also happening and targeted specifically. So I just wanted to be clear with that. And I wanted to also keep the information coming. Like, yes, we've got to definitely up the ante. And I feel like the Democratic Party in general needs to up the ante in terms of the information that is coming out in terms of the strategy, the plan, right? That agenda on the other side was very clear. Project 2025 was clear. It was precise. It came out, and they are definitely doing exactly what they said they were going to do. And we were informed about that. We can't say that we, those who missed that ball as it was coming, you missed the ball, because it definitely came out. They definitely rolled it out and said, this is what we planned on doing. So I think that in terms of really strategizing the plan, really coming out with concrete information that is going to help us and further not only make our decisions in terms of voting, but it's going to strengthen us in terms of how we are looking at how we lead our lives and what we need, the resources we need, the opportunities that we need, that we're looking for in order to enhance our experience living here in America. And so I will just say that, yes, we got to do better. Democratic Party should do better, but they are definitely, to say that there was no targeted outreach for Black men is just simply untrue. Thank you so much for your call, Ozzy. Let's go to Demetrius, my brother. I love talking to you, brother, from Cleveland. You are live on Keeping It Real. Good afternoon, Demetrius.
Good afternoon, Ms. Sharpton. It's nice talking to you as well. First of all, I would like to say that concerning, Donald Trump want to, punish the SNAP programs because the judges want to give information to him about the recipients. I think it's really shameful that he have innocent people to suffer who receive the SNAP programs, for their food, just to reach his political agenda on his quest, to remove certain people from his country who immigrated. Also, not just that, other people who become the sufferers of that, who benefit from the SNAP program, and also who be oppressed through the police system and through the National Guard. To me, that's a disrespect, for people's rights, disrespect for people, human rights, to have proper protection by the law, to have, food, to live on from the day to day, because this affects people, livelihood, their meals, their children, grown people as well, and that just showed his cold hardness. And also, when his accusations concerning Somalians, he talked about them in such a derogatory way as well. Called them as crooks and so forth. They haven't shown anything to be labeled that here in the United States since they've been here. Because you look at their history, they go back to from the kingdom of Ethiopia and Africa, and that's have a strong history. Going back for about thousands of years, and they contribute to this country just as much as any other group of people. And I believe mainly because they are dark-skinned people, that show his hate, toward people who's not Caucasian, and it also shows why his main goal is to try to remove immigrants here, who is not Caucasian as well. Anyone had that much bigotry, they shouldn't be in office, because that's someone with an agenda, a personal agenda. He don't care about the American people. Or he care about, his own feelings and those who believe, in his outlook about certain groups of people, and they want to hold power to themselves and why other people suffer, to have proper employment or have proper medical care, with medical programs that he want to cut as well, and also the education programs he want to cut, and the housing, and the job training programs, because you can't just have people not having the proper training. You want to cut a job course program would benefit a lot of people who don't benefit, having the resource to go to college and go to the job course and get a good education. But he want to eradicate that program. So, it's basically just the division between the rich and poor, those who don't have the proper means to get a good education, won't be able to get one, where they are a different race. It would be twice as hard for them to get a proper education as well. And lastly, just current Venezuela and Honduras, the president there who gave pardon to.
Well, let me hold you on. I don't want you to talk through the music, Demetrius. That's okay. So I hear the music. We're going to take a break. Dominique Sharpton sitting in for Rev. 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Democratic presidential candidate, Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you. Tonight, I want to address my remarks in two parts. One, I'm honored to address the delegates here. Last Friday, I had the experience in Detroit of hearing President George Bush make a speech. And in the speech, he asked certain questions. I hope he's watching tonight. I would like to answer your questions, Mr. President. To our chairman, our delegates, and all that are assembled, we're honored and glad to be here tonight. I'm glad to be joined by supporters and friends from around the country. I'm glad to be joined by my family, Kathy, Dominique, who will be 18, and Ashley. We are here 282 years after, right here in Boston, we fought to establish the freedoms of America. The first person to die in the Revolutionary War is buried not far from here, a black man from Barbados named Crispus Attucks. 40 years ago, in 1964, Fannie Lou Hamer and the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party stood at the Democratic Convention in Atlantic City, fighting to preserve voting rights for all Americans and all Democrats regardless of race or gender. Hamer's stand inspired Dr. King's March in Selma, which brought about the Voting Rights Act of 1965. 20 years ago, Reverend Jesse Jackson stood at the Democratic National Convention in San Francisco, again appealing to preserve those freedoms. Tonight, we stand with those freedoms at risk and our security as citizens in question. I have come here tonight to say the only choice we have to preserve our freedom at this point in history is to elect John Kerry, the President of the United States. I stood with both John Kerry and John Edwards over 30 occasions in debates during the primary season. I narrated them, I watched them, I observed their deeds, I looked into their eyes. I am convinced that they are men who say what they mean and mean what they say. I am also convinced that at a time when a vicious spirit in the body politic of this country that attempts to undermine America's freedoms, our civil rights, our civil liberties, we must leave this city and go forth and organize this nation for victory for our party and John Kerry and John Edwards in November. But let me quickly say, this is not just about winning an election. It's about preserving the principles on which this very nation was founded. Look at the current view of our nation worldwide as a result of our unilateral foreign policy. We went from unprecedented international support and solidarity on September 12, 2001, to hostility and hatred as we stand here tonight. We can't survive in the world by ourselves. How did we squander this opportunity to unite the world for democracy and to commit to the global fight against hunger and disease? We did it with a going-alone foreign policy based on flawed intelligence. We were told that we were going to Iraq because there were weapons of mass destruction. We lost hundreds of soldiers. We spent $200 billion at a time we had record state deficits. And when it became clear that there were no weapons, they changed the premise for the war and said, no, we went because of other reasons. If I told you tonight to let's leave the fleet center, we're in danger. And when you get outside, you ask me, Reverend Al, what is the danger? And I say, it don't matter, we just needed some fresh air. I have misled you, and we were misled. We are also faced with the prospect of, in the next 4 years, that 2 or more Supreme Court justices' seats will become available. This year, we celebrated the anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education. This court has voted 5-4 on critical issues of women's rights and civil rights. It is frightening to think that the gains of civil and women's rights and those movements in the last century could be reversed if this administration is in the White House in these next 4 years. I suggest to you tonight that if George Bush had selected the court in '54, Clarence Thomas would have never got to law school. This is not about a party. This is about living up to the promise of America. The promise of America says we will guarantee quality education for all children and not spend more money on metal detectors than computers in our schools. The promise of America guarantees health care for all of its citizens and doesn't force seniors to travel to Canada to buy prescription drugs they can't afford here at home. The promise of America provides that those who work in our healthcare system can afford to be hospitalized in the very beds they clean up every day. The promise of America is that government does not seek to regulate your behavior in the bedroom, but to guarantee your right to provide food in the kitchen. The issue of government is not to determine who may sleep together in the bedroom. It's to help those that might not be eating in the kitchen. The promise of America is that we stand for human rights, whether it's fighting against slavery in the Sudan. But right now, Joe Madison, a little plastic around what is going on in Sudan.
Injustice goes, he follows.
In
30 years ago, Yusuf Hawkins was a young 16-year-old brother killed.
The promise of America is one immigration policy for all who seek to enter our shore. Whether they come from Mexico, Haiti, or Canada, there must be one set of rules for everybody.
Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter, sitting in for the Rev. The Rev is traveling today, where, as we shared earlier in the broadcast, as he joined us to kick off Keeping It Real, he is heading to Chicago, Illinois, where he will be joining the family of a longtime political strategist and community leader, Brother Dwight McKee, who passed away, and Rev will be eulogizing between today and tomorrow with those services that are happening in Chicago, Illinois. But I'm sitting in the hot seat taking your calls across the country, and you can certainly join in on the conversation today by calling us at 1-877 532 5797, 1-877 532 5797, or you can join us as you are watching us. Join the message board community watching us on live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. We've been talking about a lot today, and certainly want to hear, of course, from you, whether it be your reaction to, of course, the recent arrest made on the pipe bombings that have happened near the RNC and DNC headquarters around January 6, 2021, whether it be what has transpired, of course, in Virginia, where a grand jury is debating whether to re-indict New York Attorney General Letitia James, or anything else that we've been, of course, discussing through today's program. But we were speaking before the break with Demetrius from Cleveland, Ohio. Demetrius, if you are still there, would love to get your comment, of course, about Venezuela and everything else that you wanted to mention before we got to move on. Demetrius, are you still there?
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I just want to mention, quickly going back to the Donald Trump attempt, to cut funds for the SNAP program.
Oh, yes.
It's up to the American people, and it's up to the judiciary system, to withhold him from using power he don't have. If you don't have the power to do that, if the courts are very rude, that they don't have to get that information over to his administration. Mm-hmm. If you want to overrule the legal system, that's unconstitutional.
Mm-hmm.
So it should not be allowed to be done by the American people,
mm-hmm.
and by the court.
And that's it is the thing. So we've been seeing some of the pushback, of course, from the Supreme Court as the rulings are set back, happening as things are trying to move forward, and they're stepping in, creating injunctions and things. So we have seen that happen, and as you said, because it is unconstitutional and it is borderline. You got to watch how the law enforcement is enforced right here, and especially as it's dealing with those high in government. So we definitely want to note that. But you are spot on in terms of that. In terms of course, Americans being able to get quality health care. We know that, of course, the Obama administration was very, very, very vocal and very successful in making sure that millions of Americans received access to quality health care, and that needs to continue, despite the fact that, of course, it was taken very seriously as a priority by the first Black president. That should, in no retrospect, be a deterrent on whether Americans are deprived, right, from receiving these quality resources that are invaluable in order for us to, of course, live constructive lives. And so whether it be benefits from the federal government in terms of food assistance with the SNAP programs, or Medicare with health care programs, or anything else, housing, jobs, these are things that are resources that are valuable to the American people. It doesn't matter what color you are. And unfortunately, those who are disproportionately informed the most, of course, are the ones that are in our communities, that reside in our own communities and look like us, Black and brown people. So that is not an opinion. Those are straight facts. And as we are continuing, Demetrius, to unravel this, as we continue to have these discussions, as we continue to work towards, what is the strategy, or what's the best plan for us to combat these things as they're happening to us, we've also got to inform each other accordingly of the facts and things that are taking place as they are happening. Is very important. So thank you so much for pointing that out for us.
Okay, yes. Just last, I just want to make sure I'm concerning the pardon of President of Honduras, the ex-president.
Yes.
He really shouldn't have been pardoned, because he's the reason why Honduras is in the mess it's in, because he was a major part of the drug program, their illegal drug systems going on.
Mm-hmm.
The people there couldn't get proper jobs. They lived in fear. That's why they immigrated to the United States. For Donald Trump to pardon him, he keep going against his own policy, trying to reverse immigration. Because, like I said, the ex-president of Honduras, he was the reason why the country is such in turmoil. People was afraid to live there because of the gangs there, drug trafficking and so forth, out of control. But he really Trump put someone back in power that caused the people to leave the country in the first place. Same way with Venezuela. With the sanctions in Venezuela, it's causing the Venezuelan people won't want to leave the country because they can't get proper industry there. They can't sell their large oil reserves because the United States and some other countries don't like their form of government. That's why the people are leaving there for a better living. If they lift an embargo on Venezuela, if that's the form of government that they have there, the people would change the government. You can't go there and force the style of government on a country without the people approving it, especially if they don't ask for any help. And when it's just going to benefit, the oil industry outside of Venezuela, it's not going to benefit the Venezuelan people. The same with the bargain on Cuba. Before the revolution, Cuba was taken advantage of by outside forces. And that's why the Cuban Revolution took part. Yet the embargo on Cuba is causing the average Cuban to suffer. Now, if the regime in Cuba was so bad, the Cuban people would have changed the form of government by now. So why have an embargo on the Cuba, how the people living, almost second class, don't have the proper electricity, don't have the proper food, don't have some of the proper needs that other people around the country have, even though they have the highest quality of medicine in the world because they put their resources in trying to provide the people the best way they can. At the same time, they should have the ability to have the same leisure activity as any other group of people in this world. They shouldn't be denied that because they have a different form of government. But the people that didn't like it there, they would have went through it by now. And the last thing concerning the pop bombs that have been found, to me, that just goes to show that on January 6th, there was an attempted coup, organized coup. Those people should never have been pardoned. That was treason against the United States that was organized like a coup was set of any country overthrow a government. So those people who've been pardoned, they should be back in prison because that's treason against the country.
Absolutely.
It should be rise above what any president or any governor want to pardon someone. That should be taken over by the Congress or by the courts. Because anybody else would do that, they will be exiled or it would be a harsh punishment. There's no way they would still be walking around trying to overthrow the government.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
Thank
Sharpton.
you so much, Demetrius. And on our message board, the democracy.fund says Demetrius always slays demons with his brutal truth. Absolutely true. Thank you so much, Demetrius, for your call. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Disco Brian, listening to us from Philadelphia on WURD. You're keeping it real, Disco Brian. Good afternoon.
I mean, I'm afraid. I'm always afraid calling in here, Miss Dominique, and I have not had this honor to actually talk to you without your dad there and all this. So I feel kind of intimidated and naked, especially following on the heels of the brilliant Demetrius, who needs his own show.
Well, let's start by having proper, salutations. So I said, good afternoon, Disco Brian. What do you say in response? let's try to ease that tension a little bit for you. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I just want to run this by you, okay? Everybody's buzzing about who should be the next big Democratic Senate candidate in Texas. So there's James Tallarico, the young white state representative who went on Joe Rogan's show to find common ground with a guy who mocked trans people, spread COVID conspiracies, and then, of course, infamously endorsed Trump after claiming to be on Bernie's side the whole time, right? And then there's the Princess Leia of the 21st century, Jasmine Crockett, a black civil rights lawyer and former public defender who never went through Joe Rogan for validation, has never joined King Bernie on a stage and has been on the front lines calling Trumpism what it is. So, Dominique, follow me here. That's a moral fork in the road. Do we chase favor with the comedy cult leader who helped normalize Trump, or do we back a woman who never kissed that ring and has been defending the folks hurt most by this movement? And so, I'm gonna land my plane. So there's another wrinkle that almost nobody's talking about, which is Ted Cruz's own family. Okay, I know that he's not running again. Years ago on the Ellen DeGeneres show.
Oh, we got to hold you over, Disco, because this is getting good. If you don't mind, I'm going to have to hold you through the break because this is getting good. Great conversation, if you don't mind holding. But we hear that music. I don't want to talk you through the music, so let's take a break. Dominique Sharpton, I'm sitting in for the Rev. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797. Join us on the message board via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. But we'll be back. It's Policy Day. Sister Jennifer Jones Austin is joining us. We'll be back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. We'll be back.
Keeping it real. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time. Mariah, christen your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer. in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
Rev, you know you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. We've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Now, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut, so we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Hey, it's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks. It's about giving. It's about gratitude. It's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Let's go.
Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We have to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
Miss Sharpton.
Yeah.
And you are live.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's daughter, sitting in for the Rev. Rev is traveling, but I'm sitting in the hot seat taking your calls. You can dial in and call in and join in on the conversation today. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Or you can join us, watch us via live stream. Join our message board family, watching us via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. We got Sister Jennifer Jones Austin, attorney Jennifer Jones Austin, joining us as she does every Thursday. It's Policy Day. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin, always a pleasure having you join us. We are deep in conversation here, and we need your valuable voice, and happy that you can join in today. Good afternoon, Sister Jennifer.
Good afternoon. Always a blessing to be with you all, and excited whenever I get to spend some time with you.
Yes.
Doing great things, my dear, and so it's always an honor to be in conversation with you.
Thank you. Same here. So we were talking with Disco Brian. I'm sorry, I had to turn around and get that. Listening to us from Philadelphia on WURD, The Word. Disco Brian, you got Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin and myself on now, and wanted to get back into your conversation, of course, about what's happening, of course, in the state of Texas.
Okay. I'm going to vomit now. This is too much. Like, I'm...
Please don't do that.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to need a drink after this. Okay,
no, don't do that either.
Okay. So I was talking about I'm imagining. I like to imagine things, right? Like John Lennon, I like to imagine like good things happening, right? So Jasmine Crockett, as she considers whether or not to run for the Texas Senate race, I believe she's going to need star power to win, undeniable star power, right? So let me go back to that wrinkle that almost nobody's considering right now. Ted Cruz's own family. Years ago, when Cruz was running for president against Trump, if we can recall that, if we're old enough to remember that, his daughters on the Ellen DeGeneres show, as children, said the first person they wanted at a Ted Cruz White House before she got political, right, was Taylor Swift. Okay. Now, as they got older, we've seen his eldest openly inform us that she is a member of the LGBTQ community, opposes her father's politics. She went viral on TikTok announcing that to the world. So here's ready for this? She turns 18 on April 14, 2026. All indications are that Caroline Cruz is still as deeply committed a Swiftie as Flava Flav, who has openly called for Taylor to run for president in 2028. Let's put that aside. Let's consider that Texas race should Representative Crockett, who I hope is listening, decide to run. Caroline Cruz is one of millions of young Texans who love their parents, I guess, but are much deeper committed to Taylor Swift and are repulsed by the grand old pedophile party. So I keep picturing this. Dominique and Attorney Austin. Jasmine Crockett on many Texas stages, flanked by Taylor Swift, and someday, if she chooses it, a grown-up Caroline Cruz celebrating her birthday, saying with her presence, "I choose love and democracy, not the MAGA cult that Joe Rogan and Mike Daddy are the faces of." That, to me, is bigger than left versus right. That's bigger than a fighting oligarchy with some old septuagenarian independent candidate who hates black women and never listens to y'all. That's a generation walking away from the Rogan Cruz era. Miss Dominique, I am really only using your Sacred Family show today as a smoke signal to Taylor's world and to Jasmine Crockett's world. Let's start now, so that by Caroline Cruz's 18th birthday next year, Jasmine and Taylor are throwing democracy birthday parties on stages across Texas. And if Caroline wants to, she can step up there as an adult and say, I choose democracy over wickedness. Thank y'all so
Man, you'll be a good political commentator here. I think, Disco Brian. But I like the way that you you laid it out there. And for those of you, because some people are like, who was Taylor Swift? What is TikTok? So I'm just like, I definitely relate, and I hear you there. But to really deal with the meat of your question, and I know that Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is on now. We've got Policy Day, and we're talking about policy and how it affects us and what we're dealing with and issues across the world. But in the state of Texas, very crucial state, and I think that we can't lose sight, of course, on what's happening of Texas, how crucial the state is to, of course, the fabric of our democracy, and of course the voting process in general is a very crucial state and what's happening right now, right, Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. And I think that we can't be while it's great to entertain certain antics, I won't call them antics, but it's great to entertain, politics, in retrospect, right? It is entertaining, but we also have to really look at the real issues that people are dealing with, especially in the state of Texas, and how crucial, of course, the Senate role is, and of course, the fabric of how they intertwine with, democracy and policy, and how it is important to really choose candidates, right, that speak to us in various ways in terms of our agenda and what we need to get done.
I agree. I agree with both of you. I think one of the lessons that electeds and hopefuls should take away from the 2024 presidential campaign is that celebrities, rock stars, if you will, are impactful and helpful, but aren't the answer alone. Mm-hmm. So I think like a combination where you have big names, mm-hmm. you have celebrities who get out and speak about the issues and talk about the relevance of the issues goes a long way. But, hey, Kamala Harris had a whole lot of star power for all the right reasons. But people did not, they centered more on what their pain points, their affordability pain points, mm-hmm. and for whatever reason believed that the current person sitting in the White House was going to do something about that, even though he didn't and he wouldn't. And he hasn't, and he won't. Mm-hmm. And so I do agree that there is value in star power, but our stars have to really be able to make the issues personal and relatable.
That's right. Thank you so much, Disco Brian, for your call and for always keeping it real. I hear the music, Sister Jennifer, so we're going to take this break. Dominique Sharpton, Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin, sitting in, having this conversation of importance and impact. And you can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797. But we'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be back.
Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you. And if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live. 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9. And we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized.
receive one of the greatest voices for the urban community. One, amen. Not them yet. This is one of the greatest voices, not many of the greatest voices. We're going to adjust the program quickly at this time. This man has spoken out. He stood on the front line. He has been a man for the people, of the people. Please receive Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you, Bishop. To the Franklin family and to all of us gathered, Aretha Franklin was not only an unparalleled artist, she was a civil rights activist and freedom fighter. It is easy to celebrate the gifts that God gives. It is more difficult when someone uses those gifts in ways that enhances humanity. Aretha Franklin was given special gifts, but she used it in a special way. And she would not want us to celebrate her without talking about she stood for something. She never shamed us. She never disgraced us. She never made us make excuses for her. She represented the best in our community, and she fought for our community until the end. I first met Miss Franklin when I was a teenager. I'd become youth director of New York Operation Breadbasket, and she would come to the strategy meetings with Reverend Jackson. And I would hear the stories of how when Dr. Martin Luther King couldn't make payroll, Harry Belafonte and Aretha Franklin went on an 11-city tour to raise money for Martin Luther King. A lot of artists hang up Dr. King's photo, but Aretha went and raised money and gave it and worked free. Her daddy marched with Dr. King, and she never stopped supporting. As the years went by and I developed National Action Network, and she would call my radio show and have me come to her affairs. She called me one day. She said, "Reverend Al, I want to send you something." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "What's your home address?" And she sent it. About 3 days later, I got a check made out National Action Network signed by Aretha Franklin. I saw about a month later, I said, "You know, I was so blown away. I grew up looking up to you that I framed that check." She said, "Boy, don't you have a copy machine?" She said, "You don't know how I am with my bank accounts. You better cash that check and..." But all of her life, she supported the causes. She was a feminist before feminism was popular. She was a civil rights activist when it wasn't popular. She gave us pride, and she gave us a regal bar to reach. And that's why we're all here. We don't all agree on everything, but we agree on Aretha. And she fought for everybody. I remember when we were used to picket, Charles Williams and all of us jumping on the record industry. She said, "Now y'all leave Clive Davis
Keeping
alone.
it
He's one of the good ones."
Keeping it real. Dominique Sharpton sitting in with attorney Jennifer Jones Austin on this policy day, taking your calls across the country. You can join in on the conversation today. Call us at 1-877-532-53 5797 1877 532 5797. We've got a lot to talk about and certainly want to hear from you. Sister Jennifer, we as today is Policy Day, and obviously we appreciate your your voice and of course your leadership, but want to talk briefly about what's happening with the Department of Defense, of course, and President Trump's administrations on these boat attacks. Reverend Sharpton talked earlier, of course, about the arrests that we've seen, of course, in the pipe bombings as it relates to the January 6, 2021 bombings that were happening around the RNC and DNC campaign buildings. And how do we put all of this in retrospect with the boat attacks in Venezuela, with all that we need to discuss in terms of the actual bipartisan efforts to uncover the truth of what the Department of Defense and the Trump administration's attack on Venezuela means, and how we can, of course, put that into retrospect, but also into action in terms of what we're dealing with. Sister Jennifer, are you there?
Oh, I am here. I'm sorry. My cheek hit the button. I didn't know that. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Every time I turn on the news or I read the newspapers and I learn more about Signalgate, I learn about, like more and more killings out in the waters of Venezuelans, trying to avert people bringing boats filled with drugs over here. What I can't help but think about is a game that I played years ago with my husband before we even got married. I remember it was a game that we played in college, and it was called Risk. It was like a board game that was about war, and it was like like people like maneuvering and strategizing to take down other people, and I played with my husband and several other people, men, and they were all they were very aggressive and jockeying for position, and it was like, I hope Sean is not listening to this, but it was like they were like just really macho and like trying to show that they could like run a war. And it was like, okay, enough already. What I feel like I'm watching and I'm listening to when I hear about these Venezuelan, like these attacks on these boats, it's like two little boys, Hexa and Trump, trying to like flex and trying to act like they are doing something and like starting stuff that they like. I don't know if they really need to be starting it, but like two kids with guns and with machinery and artillery who are just like trying to flex. When Trump, by executive order, renamed the Department of Defense the Department of War, what he and Hegseth both said was, we need to show that we are not just, a military that responds and is just acting with diplomacy, but that we're at the ready and we're willing and we will take people down. Trump said, when we changed the name from Department of War to Department of Defense after World War II, it was a situation where, we haven't won a war in all the days since, but we're going to start winning wars again. And then Hegseth said something about, we're going to maximize lethality, right? And so my point is, all of this is like showboating, and it's distraction, right? It's distraction from the real issues. It's distraction from how are Americans really faring. It's distraction from the Epstein files. It's distraction from the losses that he has experienced, both in terms of elections as well as some of the, the judicial losses. And so it's like it's trying to flex where they think they can flex and get people all hyped. It's just two men playing Risk and war games and really playing games with people's lives.
But do you feel, Attorney Austin, that there was a war crime committed? And of course, we want to know, what are the potential consequences? Like, what can come out of this, if anything, do you feel?
So, they are suggesting that we have engaged in war crimes here because essentially, these are allegations and actions against the Venezuelan government and its population. And there's nothing that tells us that that they were justified in doing so. Crimes against humanity are war crimes. This is an inhumane act. You're just like out there in the waters killing people, and like especially suggesting, like it's shown that there were people where Hegseth said, let's go back and take them all out, killing survivors. That violates the laws of war. Now, the United States alone, or I should say Venezuela alone, can't bring in action. I should say Venezuela can't bring in action, but it is something that they can take up with the United Nations, and maybe, that is, something that can be brought against the United States. So, I do think that we should be looking at this, and I should say the UN should be looking at this. And I know an investigation has now been commenced, a bipartisan investigation, but we should be looking at this. But the bottom line, it's just two men trying to flex, and like it's bravado, and it's just ridiculous. How are you gonna kill people saying that you're trying to keep drugs out of the United States, but at the same time you're going to pardon a man who led significant drug to Honduran?
At least if you're going to tell us that, show us at least the drugs. Like, give us some kind of proof or something. Like, give us something to go by. We haven't seen anything, but just hearing them talk about it.
No.
So, come on.
It's just boys. It's boys trying to flex.
Sister Jennifer, let's go to Manny. Manny is listening to us from Texas on line 2. Manny, you are keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominique and the attorney. This is Manny Rollison. I want to say something what she said about them flexing. The rules of engagement is what we all have to abide by. The Geneva Convention, we have to follow those rules. Now, you take a rogue officer to take 2 innocent people's life that's helpless on the side of the boat, and we was to shoot them, we would be charged. How is it possible that you could kill people? Those boats don't have no weapons on them. You can arrest them for trafficking the drugs, but to murder on the high seas, that's not right. And how are we supposed to respect the military when the military is committing murder in the face of the world? It is wrong. And they spinning it. This is being spent because it is wrong. The president lied day one. Pete Hegseth told 4 different stories. They are lying. They broke the law. And the American people, we can't sit back and say it's okay for our government to break the law, because that endangers us. September 11th, we had everybody in place. 2025, we don't even have a full federal government. We got attacked September 11th, this country. And y'all got attacked over there in New York. These people playing games with the lives of every single American citizen. Pete Hegseth is not qualified. Donald Trump is not qualified. And Gabby, the FBI directors and all of them, Cash Patel, none of these people are qualified to protect us in this country. I live in the state of Texas. I live in a strategic area. When you go out doing these things, expect it to come. You throw a rock at somebody else, you expect a rock to get thrown back at you. Now, how safe is our fishermen when they go out in the waters? How safe is the cruise ships when they go out in the waters? And when it comes to drugs in America, well, I think y'all need to talk to Pfizer and everybody else that's putting the drugs on the street by prescriptions, because that's what the people are dying from. So I feel bad about this as an Army veteran, that I'm sitting here watching in the name of the American people, in the name of every soldier who fought for the liberty and lives of people around the world. We are taking lives senselessly because the president of the United States, a draft dog, wants to flex his muscles. He was sorry then and he's sorry now.
Yeah.
And I thank you, Dominique, now for taking my call.
Thank you so much, Brother Manny.
Yes, ma'am.
Sister Jennifer, you got any response to that?
I cannot disagree.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
Brother Manny dropped the mic.
Tell my brother I say, hey,
I
keep
sure
it real,
will.
because you got this old 63 years old, been following him since he was preaching as a boy.
Thank you so much,
So
Manny,
you
for
just
your
keep it
call. Thank you. Let's go to Aaron on line 4, listening to us from Baltimore, Maryland. Excuse me, Aaron, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominique, and your guest host.
Hello.
Good afternoon. At the beginning of the program today, there was a caller who called in and is requesting government help in the form of SNAP programs. And, I'm wondering, as a man, and you're calling in to ask for government help, I want to know, what have you done in your lifetime to become self-reliant? I can see if someone has a disability and is in need of help, but sometimes our men are going to have to work maybe 1, 2, 3 jobs. If you have a family, you're responsible for taking care of that family. That's not the government family. That's your family. And you are going to have to find a way to take care of your family. And I can refer you to the post office is in need of help. The schools are in need of help. The hospitals are in need of help. And you may have to start at the entrance level and work yourself up. But in order to be a man, that means that you have to accept responsibilities. And if you accept help from the government is going to say that I'm going to give you a certain amount of money each month, and no more or no less. So if you want to be the person in your family that's going to be the man, you're going to have to do better than what you're doing. And
may I interject, because I so much appreciate what you're saying, and in general I do not disagree with you, but what I ask you to consider is that we don't know everybody's circumstances.
That's true.
What we do know is that we live in a nation where some people have had to struggle just to scrape and get by. We live in a society where, beginning with slavery and all the harms that have endured ever since, people live with a lot of trauma. We live in a society where mental health, educational opportunities have impacted some people differently than others. And so I understand what you're saying. I don't disagree in general, but I urge us all to think about, we don't know somebody's circumstance until we've walked in their shoes. And we cannot say that men are not being men if they need assistance. Sometimes men have struggled. Sometimes men have had, mental health issues, addiction issues. And then they try to get themselves back together, but we live in a society that does not support them to do so.
That's right.
And keeps them from getting well-paid jobs. So just encourage us to not label men as not being real men, because they may be trying, but they may be hindered from doing what they need to do and can do.
Thank you, Aaron, for your call. I'm going to take this break. Sister Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin, Dominique Sharpton sitting in, taking your calls, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's up? They got, they're doing, thank you. They're doing, What's on Your Mind? Yeah. All right, then, you got a birthday this week. I got to talk about that.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday this weekend. And Carrie White's birthday, right?
Corey's birthday's today.
Yeah, and I got, tell, Reverend Bird, you ready? Daniel, 5th chapter, I want him to read. And, I'm ready. Got a message from today, so we'll be on the air in what? Half hour.
About a half hour.
You should tune in to the WBLS 107.5 FM and National Impact and www.nationalnetwork.net. All right, I'm ready. Make sure you operate on time or I'll tell them how old you are.
Please receive.
I would argue that DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI, diversify, is not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were extremely pompous conservatives that talk about we want a society based on merit. Well then, if it's based on merit, then why did you discriminate based on race and gender? Until they cut off much of the population and then had merit between white males. That was what they meant, not merit. Let's have real merit, but let's also make up the ground that those of us with merit was not able to compete. What can't be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight with the courts and the streets, because they're literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started in Harvard with a black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, the ACP would have been together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation. Then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in in the 80s of what they did in Harvard, not to be standing up back in the stuff.
We have a short visit, so we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We were we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine.
Good.
Right, so that's and we
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying here?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have the slavery.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
Thought it out, give me the answer.
Asking the tough questions.
Well, see, here's the thing. I called and made a statement. Now you.
No, but I'm questioning your statement. You can question mine. You can question any statement I make. You can question any statement. Whoa. You can question any statement I make, but you cannot call here and tell me don't question the statement you make, brother.
Brothers gonna work it out.
Be a part of the conversation. Just keep it real. Live from the National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York, keeping it real. And now, America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
You're live, ma'am.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's daughter. I'm sitting in for the Rev, along with Sister Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin, whom joins us every Thursday as it's Policy Day on Keeping It Real. And we are taking your calls across the country. You can join in on today's conversation by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And we've been talking about a lot of different things, of course, on Keeping It Real. Certainly, you can also join us and watch us via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Join us on the message board. They got a lot going on the message board today, and we are certainly always appreciative for the voices, of course, that really elevate the conversation, Sister Jennifer, in terms of where we need to be going, what we need to be thinking about, and how we can have critical conversation about our action agenda and, of course, our passion for the things that we are interested in terms of what we must do to move forward. So want to definitely shout out the message board and all of the amazing comments and conversation that really serves our intellect and, of course, provides information for us to, of course, be empowered to stand strong and to, of course, move forward. Sister Jennifer, as we've been talking a lot, of course, about, for certain, of course, what's happening with Venezuela, what's happening, of course, with the arrest in terms of the pipe bombings that has happened around the January 6th riots in 2021. We've also been talking about, and I want to get your take on this. Virginia, is talking about possibly, dealing with this situation with Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, but they want to reopen, of course, a possible indictment on the Attorney General. Wanted to get your take on that, and of course, why we are even talking about in terms of why other states are starting to, chime in and try to get something to stick in terms of this indictment, which seems to be, a real political frenzy as it relates to the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, who has been a stalwart figure, of course, in dealing with a lot of the proceedings and casings around, of course, President Donald Trump. And so we want to talk about that, Sister Jennifer, but also want to get your take, of course, in terms of, and not to shift gears, got to get it all in, as we know we don't have much time on Keeping It Real. But we also want to talk about why, in terms of the consumer spending, and we're dealing with, of course, dealing with inflation, dealing with, of course, how we are seeing cuts happening across the board with resources that are available to Americans, from healthcare to, federal government assistance with SNAP programs and SNAP benefits and other things. And dealing with inflation, of course, and the consumer spending, knowing that it is now at a record high, as families, of course, continue to struggle financially. Those of you who joined us or heard about what we did on Thanksgiving at National Action Network. So many families, so many people coming to the House of Justice for hot meals on Thanksgiving really showed, visibly the need in terms of what we are dealing with in New York and other states, where people came out in record numbers, really needing assistance, really wanting to not only have community, but needing community to really keep going and to really give us the boost in terms of some of the resources that we know we need. So you can chime in, of course, on anything and everything, but we love to hear your voice and hear from you, and want to hear your feedback on these things.
Your father and I were talking about the hundreds, the more than 1,000 people that came to the House of Justice for Thanksgiving, and also to pick up turkeys. Yes. That National Action Network was making available to families. And we talked about just the growing need. Yeah. I've talked with ministers around the country who said that they were making sure that families had meals for Thanksgiving and that they were seeing significant numbers. Mm-hmm. Despite what Donald Trump says about, him having, him working on making sure that Americans have more and people are doing better, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. Yes, it is true that higher income people with wealth in America have done better. Tariffs, if they're tied to stocks and bonds and things like that, they've seen how it makes a difference for them if they've got stocks and they've got investments. But every day, Americans just living paycheck to paycheck, they aren't doing better. Donald Trump would suggest that consumer spending is up as we go into the holidays, and it looks significant compared to last year. But what he's not helping us appreciate is that is in part due to inflation. Inflation is up, so you'll look at it and you'll see the dollars coming in, and you'll think that consumer spending is up. But the other thing that he's not helping Americans at large to appreciate is that a lot of that spending appears to be the people who have a whole lot more resources, the ones who have done well over the last several years, and in particular the last several months, who can actually spend more right now. It's not everyday Americans who couldn't put a Thanksgiving meal on the table, who are now worried about losing SNAP benefits, who are worried about losing health care. who are worried about premiums very much likely going up if they don't strike a deal in Congress. Those aren't the people where the consumer spending is at an all-time high. So what's happening is, and everybody needs to understand this, what elected officials, not just Trump, but what politicians and elected officials will often do is they'll give you a data point, but they actually don't tell you what's behind the data. They don't tell you the truth in the data. For example, when they tell you that poverty is going down in America, they're not telling you that, well, if you raise somebody's wages by a dollar or two, then that'll look like poverty's going down. But if their wages really need to go up by $20, it's not really making a difference. That's what happens all the time. And then I'll quickly say on Attorney General James, we all breathed a sigh of relief just a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was not even a couple of weeks ago. Maybe it was. I can't remember. It's all running together when the charges were dismissed. But we also knew that there was a possibility that the charges could be brought again because they were dismissed, not on the merits. That's what we call dismissing charges without prejudice. When the merits of the case are not actually adjudicated, they're not heard and decided by the court, by the judge, but they are dismissing on some other technicality, and on a technicality. And what happened was they were dismissed because the prosecutor who brought the charges was not legally in an official position to do so. They never decided the merits of the case. And so even though the reason you had somebody who was not legally in the position bringing the case in the first place because you had true U.S. attorneys who did not want to bring the case, they found no merit in it, it doesn't mean that once the case was dismissed that it wouldn't be brought again. And so now what you see is a grand jury looking at the evidence that's been provided, even though it still says that there wasn't enough evidence there to prosecute in the first place, but you got a grand jury that's now gets to look at the evidence again because the case was dismissed without prejudice.
That's a great point there. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin, y'all. It's policy day. Let's go to Jihad, listening to us from Atlanta on line 3. Jihad, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ladies. I wanted to address two things and to also put forth a policy question. Ms. Jones, I want to give some background to the lady that called and talked about the black men. She was responding to a call that the host had earlier, and the premise of the caller was that the Democratic Party need to do more for black men. And the caller made that particular statement, and the host brilliantly asked the caller to, rather than just gloss over it, asked the caller to reference what particular policy or what particular did you want the Democrats to do that they haven't done for black men. And when challenged with that question, the caller responded, reparations. If the host had not challenged him, then that thought would keep being permeated up until this next election, and will cause the damage that it caused before, because the host clearly told him that she respectfully told him that the information that he said did not exist existed, that there were Democratic policies that was put forth to help or to assist black men in some of the issues that we have. So I think that, when the caller also talked about doing something for us, I know personally sorry black men. We have to admit that there are some sorry black men. We can make the exceptions for the ones that you mentioned, Attorney Austin. We can make exceptions for those when presented. But, Ms. Austin, there are sorry black men who won't work. Right now in Atlanta, 50% of young black boys are dropping out of high school. How is the government going to help them? How are they going to get help from the government? How can the government help them if they won't even do the basic, get a high school education? You know what I mean? So I think we need to come to grips so that there are many successful black men, and these black. Okay,
Right.
I'm sorry.
And I don't disagree
and
with
you can
and I
hold on
didn't
through the
disagree
break,
with
but go
her.
ahead, Sister Jennifer.
Well, we'll come back and we'll talk about it. I
Okay,
don't
Jahar,
disagree,
just hold
but
on.
I just think that we need to qualify it.
Okay, hold on. We hear that music, so we're going to take a break. You can join in on the conversation, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back. More of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Knew love like this before, 'cause I never knew love like this before.
Sounds so good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, you know, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored, and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my black people. And I fight for us, and I want the women, the black women, to really know their worth. Know that they're queens. That's important to me. That's how my mother raised me. My mother was militant, I guess, when it wasn't trendy, yes. Because when I was a little girl, my mother and father would drive in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. And when she would see police officers handling black children or a black boy or a girl, she would have my father stop and say, she'd get out of the car and she'd say, "What's going on here? Wait a minute, what you doing?" All the time. So it's natural that I'm that way because I'm so tired of seeing our black men beaten with handcuffs. They have handcuffs on. That's important to me. That's my fight. I want love in this world. We're living in some, I love you. I never knew love like this before. I can't sing because we just finished doing 3 shows back to back. And I flew in this morning and because Reverend Al wanted me to sing home. There's no way I could sing home, but okay. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. When that makes us tall grass bend into leaning, suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Sprinkling the sea makes it all clean. But thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I love you. I love you with my life.
Stephanie Mills. Babyface.
Everything step I take, you will be there. Everything
Thank you so much. I was thinking I was going to prepare a speech, but I can't read those things anymore. Name's Babyface, not Baby Body. But I wanted to, you made me sound so good with those words. I was like, that was me? I was like, when I look at my life and I think of the music and everything that I've done, I used to say that I don't know where it came from. I don't know where the words come from. I don't know where the music comes from. I don't know how I got here where I am, but that's not true. God got me here. This is and it becomes more clear to me every day that's why I'm here. And I don't even know how I ended up standing here, except for the fact that I ran into Al at the Essence. He was walking in the room, and I said, I got to go say hello. And he said, I want to honor you. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, I want to honor you. I said, really? Yep. And here I am standing here, and I can well, thank you. I always want to do this, Michael. I love you too. Sorry. But I think of moments like this, I can't help but just think of how proud my mom would be for me standing here. I have to say that just to be standing here and to be invited by Al Sharpton, and I want you guys to really think about this man who invited me here and how he has been fighting the fight for us all of these years. I don't think we give him enough credit. I don't think we give him enough love. Sometimes you just get used to people and you think, well, that's just Al. No. He's more than that. I want y'all to give him really love. Come on, let's give him. It's very true. Because I can remember times, I'm 67 years old, I can remember times in Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah, it's true, I'm 67. And I can remember times in Indianapolis when I was growing up, and there were places before I was 5 years old that I could not go to because I was black. And I remember how civil rights, how that changed everything for me and for my life, and that I'm standing here today because of all of those changes, and I was able to do the kind of music that I do and do everything because of those things happened. And so for me to accept an award like this, because I've never gotten an award like this before, and so I really appreciate it, and I'm just so thankful, and I thank my mom for giving me the sense to always be humble with my life and to never think that it's all about me. And so like I said, I didn't prepare a speech. I always just wanted to speak from my heart. And I'm speaking from my heart, and I want to tell you once again, Al Sharpton, you are a blessing to us all, and I thank you for inviting me for this, and thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Keeping it real. Dominique Sharpton, attorney Jennifer Jones Austin, and all of you keeping it real across the country joining in on conversation today. 1-877-532-5797. We were speaking with Jihad before the break. Jihad, are you still there?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Okay, I think Attorney Austin, I think she has enough of what I was trying to say.
Well, give us a little recap.
Yeah. Oh. Recap is the reality of that we have sorry black men that are not upholding their responsibility to themselves or their families. We can make exceptions for the one that have mental problems and etc. The ones who choose to use drugs, to spend time vaping and smoking marijuana and playing video games. This is a real situation. You know what I mean? So I think that's what the lady was referencing. That even though they might not have a degree or whatever, there are other jobs that you can do. Some young black men say that certain jobs are beneath them. You know what I mean? But they don't have the skills to get the other jobs. So all I'm saying is that we have to, at some point, call a spade a spade. And my most important point on the black men irresponsibility is the fact that 75 to 80% of black households are headed by women with the black men's children. So no, let's start. We can't make no excuses for them no more. It's beyond excuses at this particular point. You know what I mean? I think that we have to face it and we need to address it. And then I had the policy question on the president's power to declare war after Mr. Austin respond to that, if I could.
Absolutely.
I'm struggling a little because I how do I best say this? I agree and I disagree. I believe that there are so many black men, young and old, as well as black women, who have experienced a lot of trauma and a lot of stress, and some of it is not necessarily visible. I know several black men who, like from the outside, would not look like they're walking around with a whole lot of trauma, but actually live with trauma. And I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying, and maybe and how do I best say this? Maybe it's the work that I do or the spaces in which kind of I work that I struggle to just call people sorry people and pitiful people, because there's so many scars and wounds that we actually don't see and we don't know. And it's sometimes hard for people to overcome them. And so I get what you're saying. And we do want people to do and be the most that they can. But I also know that there's a whole lot of people living with a whole lot of trauma out here. And I'll give you one quick example. There's a research report that shows that black men who grow up in communities that are over-policed with mass incarceration, even if they were not the subjects of the policing and the mass incarceration, they actually do not do as well in grade school because there is this kind of attendant trauma. And so it's just, I guess what I'm saying too is I'm not disputing what you're saying, but I'm also saying we cannot for a second lose sight of the fact that there is a lot of structural harm that has impacted our communities.
Good point.
And I agree with you, but I fight back to say those of us who are doing the correct things, we're in this community too. How is it that I'm just talking about simple stuff, going to school? How you get traumatized when you go to school?
Because, sir, we don't know people's experiences. I'll give it to you a little differently. I have 3 siblings, 3 full-blooded siblings. We grew up in the same house. We maybe sat under the same parents, same grandparents, sat in the same church pews. And how we move through the world looks very different, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you just never know. People, and we don't know what's within people, how people, I had cancer. And how my son responded to my cancer looks very differently than how my daughter responded. My daughter, at the time that I had cancer, was 12 years of age, and she was reading, and she got traumatized by the fact that she knew firsthand that the likelihood that her mother would live was very, very small. It took my daughter years to feel comfortable that I was going to live. She thought she had to raise herself. My son, on the other hand, was 7 years old. When I survived, he was like, anything in the world is possible. So he moves through the world believing that the world is his, that anything is possible. My daughter moves through the world cautious and reserved, always waiting for that other shoe to drop because she knows that it can. And so all I'm saying is our experiences will impact us differently. And we just don't know, and all we can do is the best that we can, and then try to understand people's journeys and try to help them get to another side, the other side.
Jihad, can you ask your policy question really quickly? I know.
Yes, real quick.
Okay.
The policy questions deal with the Congress reclaiming its authority to be the only one to declare war, because I don't remember when the last time the Congress declared a war, but we've been in wars for the last 20, 30 years. And most of these wars are because the presidents, these particular presidents, have somehow circumvented the Congress's position to authority, the Congress role to declare war, and they've created, even Reagan had this mini secret army that he created. And, I just want to know whether or not Congress can, as a policy, reclaim that position and take away these authority of these individual men to declare war based upon their own influence, and that was my policy question.
Yeah, so you're spot on. Congress, I appreciate you. Congress is the only one that has the authority to declare war, but they haven't declared war officially. I think it's maybe going back to the 40s. And what we often see happening is that presidents, what they do is that they'll commit military forces, right? Like they'll commit the Army, the Navy, to go in and do something. And they've got limited powers, but essentially what they're allowed to do is to notify Congress that they're going to deploy troops and what have you, but it's only supposed to be for a finite period of time unless Congress grants them an extension. And so the challenge that you're talking about is, why is Congress rolling over sometimes and allowing presidents to engage in these military actions and then granting them extensions without saying, no, you don't have that right. You raise a good point. I can't tell you. Sometimes it's just simply a matter of politics and who's in charge. I can't really tell you, though.
And one last thing. The boats, they have changed the boats to vessels in language. I think one of your callers talked about it earlier. When you bomb a boat and bomb a vessel, you imply that the other thing is a military obstacle. And where are the boats going? Has anybody asked the question yet? Did anybody follow the boats to see where they were taking the drugs to?
That's
and
right.
Let's bomb those people too.
That's right. Thank you, Jihad. We're going to take this break. Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin, Dominique Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back. More of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
I've been traveling around the country talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body. If he woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955. fact. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. Yeah. One more time. I want to say this song. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Get up. God has smiled on me. Then I went on by backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell him what you told me, Brother Brown. I said, now God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Yeah. He has set me free. God smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I went home and I told my mother what Brown told me. And she said, son, even though we don't have much, we don't need relief. All we need is belief. And she said, he didn't tell you no lie, because the Lord will take care of you. God sits high, but he looks down low. And every time you get discouraged, every time you're burning down, all you have to do is think of the things that God made a way for you and look toward the heavens. Lift your eyes to the hills and say, God, 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 don't smile on me. Now then, the God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. That has been so good to me. Yes, he has. I say, God smiled on me. He has set me free. And I know all over the country, smile on me. We need jobs. We need a way to make it. We need help. We need jobs. We need a way to make some money to feed our families and raise our bread. We need a way to survive, so we don't need crime as a survival kit. We just need a little bit. But don't give the hope up. Don't lose the faith, because God will smile on you. God will give you the strength. God will make a way for you. Adam Great Power said, keep the faith. Keep the faith, baby. I hear Robert Kennedy saying that it's not the dream of, but it's the dream that'll live on forever. Just know that God will smile on you. Dr. King had a dream. Dr. King said, I went to the mountaintop, but I didn't stop there. I looked over and saw the promised land. I hear Brother Malcolm saying, don't sit on the stoop. Stand up and be a man. Respect yourself. Be somebody. Then I hear the brothers in the Hispanic community say, I'm going to stand up and be a man. I'm going to do the best I can. I had a reaper say, I don't care what time you come home, but just give me some respect when you get there. Lord, now God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Sit down. And as we move on in history, let us remember that if we look to God, God has
children just have will, and I can still hear.
Keeping it real. Dominic Sharpton, attorney Jennifer Jones Austin, and all of you on Keeping It Real family across the country. We're going back to the phones. Got a lot to talk about. About to run out of time, but want to hear from you. Let's go to Frank, the West Side, listening to us from Chicago. Sister Jennifer on line 1. You're Keeping It Real. Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. As always, haven't spoken to you in a while, my queen. Good afternoon to you and to my other queen.
Good afternoon.
Miss Austin. Good afternoon, queen. Hey, Miss Austin, I got to say that I love the way you handled those two callers in regard to what the brother said earlier. I was listening in regard to men and government assistant. If I could do a phone call on that right there, because I'm just going to say one thing about that. There's two things that their sister's totally overlooking. And it does seem like she's attacking him. She doesn't know him, what kind of man he is, what he's been through. Miss Austin, you handle both of them right. There's a second one who comment on it. Yeah, we got some sorry men out there, but we also got some sorry women out there, too, that have taken these children away from a darn good, hard-working man because she can, and the child ended up being abused by the new lover, okay? We can do a segment on that alone. But, Miss Austin, when I called in on, you touched on, I said, wow, you can tell we're on the same vibes. I sure want to point the same thing you point out in regards to Donald Trump and what's been going on with the attack on the boats, just murdering them. Donald Trump, I'm concerned, he may be whipping his way because he got people in key positions and avoiding being held accountable and going to jail here locally, nationally. But I'm going to tell you something. Internationally, when Donald Trump get out of office, and he will be out of office, Donald Trump can still be held accountable on the international stage. These are war crimes that he's committing. I mean, I said it when it first started. Where's the evidence? I mean, even I've been tuning in on, there's no drugs floating up there. Where's the evidence? Why can't you just confiscate at least one of them and prove your point? But see, they lie so much. All the wars basically we have gotten into have been based off a lie, except for Revolutionary War and the Civil War. Every war we got into was based off a lie. So Donald Trump can't be held in the international court as a war criminal the same way the Nazi Germans in regards to the concentration camp, what they did to Jews, no matter how old they got, the same way even Saddam Hussein got held accountable, and he was executed. Donald Trump can still be held accountable internationally if we can't get him nationally. And last but not least, you know what I'm saying, Miss Austin, can you answer me this question? In this regards to what's going on with the snaps, with basically more so with in regards to the Affordable Health Care Act and the subsidy. Now, I don't know why they're not approaching it from this point of view. Actually, the Affordable Care Act is law. Okay, and as far as it being law-wise, if I'm mistaken, Ms. Austin, isn't it true that Congress is constitutionally bound to fully fund the Affordable Care Act, what they call Obamacare or not, by the Constitution? They must fully fund it. They have no choice. It has not been repealed. Now, are these subsidies considered outside the Affordable Health Care Act and not part of the law? But the Affordable Health Care Act is law, and it is Congress' job. It has no choice. They must fully fund it. What are we talking about here? Am I right or wrong, Miss Austin?
Yeah. Sister Jennifer, are you there?
I'm right here with you. You guys can't hear me?
We can hear you
I can hear you.
We can hear you now.
I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm right here. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
Good. Okay. So what I want to say to you is that you are right, but there's a, how do I say this? There's an element, there's a qualifier to what you're saying. So what happens with food assistance and other like Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and parts of the Affordable Care Act fall under this is that they are mandated. They are what you call mandatory programs. The problem is, so they have to be funded. The problem is that the authority to determine who's eligible based on income levels for these programs is left with Congress. So, as an example right now, food supports and healthcare supports, the eligibility determinations are based on what they call poverty levels, 130% of poverty, which looks like for a family of like one adult and two children, it's about $27,000. for 100% of poverty. For if you look at 130%, that goes to about what I guess maybe about $36,000. So somebody making above that, according to Congress, would not be eligible for the full level of food support or the full level of Medicaid. Wouldn't get any Medicaid. The point I'm making is that yes, you're right. These are entitlement programs, but Congress gets to determine the level of income that one cannot go over in order to be eligible for these programs.
And the subsidies go over that level?
So
Is that what you're saying?
what happened with the subsidies was that under Biden, he expanded eligibility. We're working with Congress to a higher level of income eligibility. But now Congress can pull that back.
Okay, so they didn't make that law. So they didn't make that law when we went over. And last but not least, let me just say, is it also...
They made it law, but for a period of time, and that period of time is now is about to come to an end.
Okay. Now, also, Congress is the only one that has the power to dismantle programs. Now, like say, for instance, the board of the Department of Education. Now, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that law, or did Johnson do that by executive order? Because how the heck can Donald Trump dismantle all of these departments and these, you know what I'm saying? And actually, that is Congress' job. Donald Trump, as president, cannot do that. That's Congress' job. Am I right or wrong?
But I gotta think about that, because what I'm not, you know what, I'm gonna look that up and do a little bit of research with that, because first of all, the Department of Education didn't exist until well into, I want to say maybe it was the 70s or so. And
Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon B. Johnson.
Right, okay. It was late 60s, okay. And what happens is sometimes, like at the federal level, the state level, the local level, you will have presidents and executives. They stand up agencies and offices. I'm trying to remember. I think that they have to be authorized by Congress through legislation that gets signed in. Yeah, I think they have to be authorized. Exactly. Right. Exactly. But I guess what you can do is what he's doing is he's essentially saying he's diminishing it and he's weakening it.
Like he's the king.
And he's sending it out. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the king. Lyndon B. Johnson did not do this by executive order. This was an act of Congress. So we got some issues with this guy when he got out of office, and I hope they get him in national. I hope the same thing happened to him that happened to Saddam Hussein. Hey, you queens, nice talking to y'all again. Okay, everyone have a great day.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Lola, listening to us from Philadelphia on WURD. Lola, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Yes. Hi, Monique. You let all the men talk. I only got like 3 minutes. So I just wanted to
say. Lola.
Okay, so I be having a lot to say.
Okay. Let's try
okay,
get it
all
in.
right. Okay, so I'm gonna get it in. I just wanted to say that what we're seeing now is what we've seen in history. I wasn't even going to talk about this, but what we see now is that a white man has pushed the limits and done what he has done in history, gotten away with crime, gotten away with all kind of disgraces against humanity, and has not been called on it. This is what we've seen. He's not been pulled back because he is a white man with entitlement and privilege. There is no way that Donald Trump should be allowed to be doing what he's doing. One man, that's why we have guardrails and consequences, and that's why we have courts, because it should not be in the hands of one person. That's why there are 3 branches of law, but they're not standing up. And then I will say that the women are standing up. We have all the women standing up. We have just Jasmine Crockett, AOC. We have Maxine Waters, Ayanna Presley, Ilhan Omar, Rashid Tlaib, all of them. And then we have the men not really doing anything because they are bought and paid for by the lobbyists. And so the women are stepping up to what someone said, because that's who's in the forefront, unfortunately. And I will say to Attorney Austin, she was exactly right about the social programs. Why are we as Americans and Black people so concerned about what people are getting from these social safety nets, a few $100s, a few hundred food stamps when they are sending billions and billions of dollars over to Israel?
Yes.
Why are we so concerned about somebody eating? Somebody getting a little bit of Medicaid? They're not getting rich off of it, but we're going to be sending trillions and trillions of dollars to Israel and what they're doing is tearing this country apart. Why are we doing that and worried about what black people are getting when Jennifer
Gotta go.
said people are walking around wounded? We don't know. A lot of people have been through sexual abuse, violence, and everything, and that's why they are not being able to move on.
All right, we got to end it there, Lola. We're going to take that into tomorrow because it's Exhale Friday coming up. I want to thank you, Sister Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. Thank you to all those who called in today and got through. Those that called in and didn't get through, call again tomorrow because we exhaling. Thank you to the message board. Thank you to our producer today, Brother Chris Reynolds, as Fatima Muhammad is on vacation. Our tech producer, DJ Phil, our phone tech and segment producer, DJ Wire. And as Reverend Sharpton says, whatever you do, wherever you go, and however you feel, make sure you tell someone that Rev told you, Dominique told you, Sister Jennifer Jones Austin told you. You got to keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it